Today, we're gonna have the period talk.
Never met someone like you, felt something like your touch. I wish we would.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chloe Dietz, and on here I just share vlogs, pageant content, and even my podcast, The Southern Crown. So when you're done watching this video, go ahead and give my whole podcast a watch because I've had tons of great women on there so far and so many more to come. While all those topics are super fun, today is a little bit more serious of a topic and something that is really close to my heart. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I'm sure you've seen a video or a post or two about Cycle Connections. And that is the mission-driven organization that my mom and I created that supports and advocates for menstrual equity among women. And I'm sure you're sitting here like, Chloe, what does any of that mean? Because I did use a lot of big words and I understand. So I'm going to break it all down for you and explain exactly what advocacy for menstrual equity means to me. So I think in order to really understand the reach of this subject, I need to first explain to you what period poverty is. Period poverty can range from either a lack of education about periods and just not knowing how to handle it with dignity and hygiene, to a lack of actual resources like pads, tampons, panty liners, all of those great things that you really just are unable to, even if you have the education on it. Okay, so I feel like to put this into perspective, I need to give y'all some statistics, so let me hit you with those. Period poverty is not something that just affects what we would consider the countries with lower socioeconomic status. It's something that affects the entire world. And across the entire globe, there's over 500 million women and girls who suffer from period poverty to some extent. And I feel like that stat right there just puts into perspective how big of an issue this is, because percentage-wise, that's not a lot of the world. But think about 500 million women and girls. That's just an insane thing to comprehend. And bringing it a little closer to home, if we look at 2019, 64% of Missouri women reported that they did not have access to the necessary feminine products to handle their cycles with ease and with dignity and with hygiene. Okay, when talking about period poverty, I've come up with a little 3-letter phrase to help us remember the 3 main causes of period poverty amongst the world. SEC, social, economic, and cultural. Those are the 3 main reasons that people suffer from period poverty. So economic, I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. That's the version of period poverty that we see the most. It's just a lack of funding to be able to access the products that you need to have a safe period. Then when we get into social and cultural, that's where it gets a little bit more complicated. Social, I like to think of that as the stigma around periods. I'm sure that even right now watching this video, you might feel a little bit uncomfortable seeing this teenage girl sit here so openly talking about it. And it's because as a society, periods are something that have been deemed dirty and just taboo and just something that we don't talk about. So that's a really big part of what Cycle Connections is doing, is removing the stigma and making it more of an open subject. Then cultural, that's another thing that goes hand in hand with societal. There's a lot of cultures where periods are celebrated, but then on the other hand, it is on the complete flip side where, not to knock any cultures, but periods are looked as something disgusting, dirty. You stay away from a woman on her period, you know? So I think that these are the main 3 reasons why period poverty is so still prevalent in today's society. Now I want to talk about the reason that I chose period poverty to be the thing that I'm so passionate about. So previously I've mentioned how I chose to start Cycle Connections so that I could truly get out in my community and make a difference. And the reason that is really it's rooted in my mom, and that's why she's my partner in this, is because she always taught me from a very young age not to be somebody who just talks about doing something, but somebody who actually is a doer and goes out and does it and gets it done. Tackling a problem like this isn't simply just about acknowledging my privileges and knowing the advantage that I have, that I'm able to have access to these products, and I have a mom that will talk about all this stuff openly with me. It's also about going out into the world, getting the donations, and being able to spread around the kindness and wealth that I've been provided with. My whole life, I've been taught to wake up and realize when a large portion of my peer group is being affected by something like this. And when I started to see girls my age, in my town, in my grade, in my school, who are lacking access to these products, it was kind of a wake-up call where I was like, oh wow, something needs to be done about this. So I went to my mom and we started kind of brainstorming ways to get this like ball rolling. We found a local women's shelter to donate to, and we set up a spot fund, which is actually still running, and it's on our Instagram page. And to find us on Instagram, you can go to Cycle Connections. That's the entire Instagram, just normal spelling. I feel like one of the easiest things about this is going to be the posting online and talking about it to people, because that's as easy as just writing up a script and saying it to the camera and speaking from the heart, honestly. However, that's the biggest challenge that there is to tackle, is the stigma. I can all day get donations and bring them to the women's shelter of tampons and pads. However, a real change won't be made throughout society until we start looking at periods differently and really shifting our views on them. Periods don't have to be something dirty or a little secret that you have, because they happen to so many women around the world, and they've happened for centuries. I don't have any stats on this, but it's just something that I've noticed. Period poverty really seems to be the least talked about issue that has such a large reach. 500 million women across the world. Like, I just keep going back to the statistic. It's just insane to think about that, you know? So currently what we're doing with Cycle Connections to combat this issue is we do have that spot fund set up where you can send $10 to support 1 month of a girl's period and $100 to support an entire year worth. We also accept product donations. I got my very first product donation, a big box with hundreds of tampons in it from the VA hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you. And also something that I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start a reel series on Instagram where I just do educational content like this one. And I'm going to break down the myths and all the things about periods like that. So be on the lookout for that on there. Okay, this is a kind of call for anyone who's involved in any women's groups or anything like that in the Houston area, because that's where I'm located. I would be so pleased to be able to get involved with one of your groups and go present. I have a little presentation already created that I so want to go present to a women's group about period poverty and how to get involved with Cycle Connections. So if you or anyone you know is involved in a Houston area women's group, just let me know. I would love to come be a guest speaker if that's something that y'all do. Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to follow me, CHLOEDIETZ.pageants, the.southern-crown, and Cycle Connections, all on Instagram. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!